Hi guys, this is Rahul yet again, and in this video, I am going to talk about a very important subject about software development, which many of you are aware of, or many of you are not aware of. You might have heard about full stack development, then front end development, then back end development. So, what are these technologies? How it works, and if you are a fresher, then what you should opt for, go for learning or not, or what should be your choice. Okay, so this video I'm not going to give you a roadmap or some any detail architecture about this full stack development or backend development or front end development. This is more like a comparison video where I will talk about on a high level about uh, what are the different architecture of making web applications or mobile applications, and what do you mean by full stack development, or what do you mean by full stack or front end, or let's say back end. Okay, what do you mean by that? Okay, so let's start. Yeah, so just if you see this Excel sheet I have written here, full stack development. Okay, so what do you mean by full stack? Now, any website which you see, suppose you go to any your browser, suppose I go to my browser, I open my website. Okay, this is my website, this is my, okay, I open this website. Any website we open, it is coming from some remote server which is hosted on the cloud. Now this browser is known as the client. The browser is nothing but your client machine, and it is coming from a server machine which is hosted somewhere else. Okay, so this is client and server communication is happening back and forth. If I click on some page, it will send the request to the server. Server will send back this HTML page, and this HTML page is rendered in your UI in the browser. So this is normal client to server communication. We send request to the server. Server sends a response. Okay, like this HTML page is a response. This is simple. Even if you open a mobile app, same thing you do. You click on some button, it sends some request to the server. Server sends some request to the server, and the server sends the response back. So this is the normal thing which happens on any application. If you are making browsing any application, may it be a website, web application, or any mobile-based application, doesn't matter. If it is connecting to internet, it is basically a internet-based application or a full stack application. Okay, so that is the meaning of full stack, client versus server. Any application like web application and mobile application you consider as full stack. Okay, many times we have this misconception that mobile apps are not full stack. They are also full stack. Okay, so when we talk about full stack development, mobile apps also are part of that thing. Okay, so let's start with the classification, how we can define this, how we can define this thing. Uh, just a moment. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So actually, there are different architecture right now, but first we'll talk about the old way. Like the earlier, what we used to have happen is the apps were very simple. We used to have a, let's say, a ASP.NET MVC application, or a Django application in Python, or a Spring application in Java. And what used to happen, the HTML was rendered from the HTML which you see on your browser is coming from your server. And so what is JavaScript? Many of you might not be aware what is JavaScript. Just hold for a moment, I'll tell you what is JavaScript. So these kind of application is like more HTML based, less JavaScript based, and these applications are more it is more inclined towards the server side. So what do I mean by server side? So let's suppose I go to my website, this website, and I click on any page. Okay, it sends the request to the server. Server sends the entire page back. So this is what is happening. This is what happens when I talk about the old way of things. You know, what is the old way of doing the things? Getting the HTML from the server. Again, I'm repeating, getting your web page, whatever content, directly from the server. Now, what is the modern way, like how we deal in modern age? Okay, let's suppose I go to naukri.com. Okay, you can see this page. Now, whenever I click on this, see here what happens. Whenever I click on any link, it is trying to load that page from the server. That means it is hitting the server, getting the page, and again loading. That page is coming from the server to a client. It takes some time, and then it is loading here. Suppose I click here, let's check what happens. You can see this ring. Okay, this is loading. So what is happening? This means the entire page is reloaded. Okay, again I click here. Again you can see this is reloaded. The entire page is reloaded. Now check here. Now suppose I want to filter this job based on the salary or whatever. Just again check here whether the page is reloaded or not. If I just click on this checkbox, let's suppose it is not allowing me to yeah. Just a minute. Yeah. So if I click on the checkbox, see nothing happens here. This page is not reloaded. Okay, so what is happening if I click on checkbox? Something is happening, but here in the browser itself, in the web page itself, correct? So this is the modern apps. Like the page is not entirely reloaded. Only it sends the request to the server. It sends some back the data, and the data is shown here or rendered in the page using JavaScript. So JavaScript is the language which is used in the web page. Okay, so this is the modern way of doing the things, correct? So this is known as uh, what I can say. This is nothing but your uh, JavaScript driven application, and this is also known as single page application. Okay, so what is single page? That once your HTML is loaded, like here you can see, once your HTML is loaded, the HTML will be not loaded again, and you will just get the content via sending the request through JavaScript and rendering those things using JavaScript. It is lot of JavaScript programming is used in the front end here. Okay, in the modern apps. Okay, and if I again go back, sorry, if I again go back to the browser, and if I again see this thing, suppose I click on, let's suppose, some link. So this is a new link. This is a new link, but let's suppose I click on modify. I change backend to, let's suppose I click here Python, and I click on this modify search. See, this is not reloading. Can you see the value change here? Python jobs, and this new content is loaded, but it is not, the page is not entirely reloaded. The data is coming from back from the server. It is getting loaded in the web page. Okay, so this is the difference between the old way where entire page is reloaded, you can see here, and here where only the content will change inside, but the page is loaded only once. This is known as single page application. Now, okay, so these technologies, people suppose why I've listed this. These are the common technologies: ASP.NET, Spring is Java based, Django is Python based. Okay, so these technologies, many times what I have seen, that if some fresher is like trying to learn full stack, they try to learn these things. Okay, that ASP.NET, MVC, Spring, Django, which is good. Not, I'm not saying it's bad, but remember these are old way of doing the things. In the job market, these things will not have much value because things are changing every year, every 6 months. IT field is very dynamic. IT industry is very dynamic. It is changing. Technology is like changed every 6 months, every 1 year, every 2 years. So you have to keep update. Okay, if you learn these things, you might get a job, but not very good one. Okay, in big companies, in the old project, you can get these jobs. But if you want a good job, good salary, then you must learn the latest things, which are these things, modern apps. So what is modern apps? Thus I showed you that Naukri.com example that is using this JavaScript based approach. Okay. So what happens in the backend? There's a API which will not return HTML, but it will return some data. Okay, and that is nothing but REST API. It is like same as like your any web application, but in web application like in this website we get HTML from the server. But in REST based approach, REST API based approach, we will get the data from the server, not the HTML. HTML will be already present in the front end. It will be already loaded, and the data will be rendered using the JavaScript framework. And the two most popular framework right now in the market is ReactJs and Angular. Okay, so you can learn either of that. But yeah, so this things you need to understand. Like what is the market? What is the market? What are the technologies involved? Okay, this is very important to understand, and like what these things are very important to know. Actually, people don't have very basic idea. Okay, now many times we get confused. Like I have written here web apps and mobile apps, both are full stack development, both are full stack, both are applications, correct, on internet, on the internet. Now suppose you want to make somebody wants to make a mobile app. Okay, so there is one technology which is known as cross platform technologies such as Flutter and React Native, using which you can create the application which can be published on both uh, uh, iOS as well as Android, and you can integrate the backend with the same REST API. Okay, so REST API is like more backend. Okay, so this is one of the technologies which is widely used nowadays in mobile app development. So there are a lot of jobs in these technologies also. Like if you want to like be a front end developer, you can not just opt React.js and Angular. You can also opt Flutter and React Native if you are interested in developing mobile apps. And the front end of mobile apps is very good technology and a lot of jobs and good salary also. You can think of that. People are not aware of these things. And this technology is like more not cross-platform, but see, Android native is like if you're developing a pure Android application and you want like more capabilities, you should not go with this cross-platform development. You should opt for native-based development. So what is native-based development? So native-based development, like suppose you will develop using Android framework, so it will be only the app which you're developing, mobile app, will only work on Android. And similarly, if you're developing using Swift, the app which you will develop will only work on iOS. Okay, these are also good technologies. If you want, you can definitely opt for these things also. And these are used to create native apps. So this is also full stack. My point is that all are full stack. Okay, these all four are full stack way of doing the things right now. But these things are like old way of doing the things, and right now less opportunity in this field. So if you're learning Django and you're just like doing basic things without using an API, it will not like help you much in getting a job. Okay, if you want to get a job, you should know both, like how to develop front-end application as well as back-end application. So if you know Django, you must know how to develop REST API in Django. If you know Java, then you should know how to develop REST API in Java. Okay, so nowadays the REST API is very important. How to create API and services on backend and how to integrate this with frontend. These things you should know. That is very important. You know? Don't like learn these basics things and then say, okay, I'm full stack developer. You're not. You are an old style full stack developer then, not the modern one. If you want to become the modern one and the latest one where you can get a good opportunity, you should learn these things. Okay, these things are very good. Okay, now coming, I will compare. Okay, so if you want to become full stack developer, you have to learn both the front end technologies as well as back end technology, which will take time. Okay, but I will revisit to this thing, what so you should do or not. But this is the like different technology which you should know and which you should think of. Okay, that which I should choose and why. You explore, and I will make more videos on every technologies like React versus Angular or what are different ways of getting REST API and all those things. I will make in separate video, but I don't want to make this video too long. Okay, more focused about comparing the full stack development, what is the meaning of this thing, and what you should choose if you're a fresher as well as experienced, what you should be your next step. So based on that, I am just making this video. Now coming to front end development. Now, as I told you, front end is more uh, based with your UI. So UI can be a web-based UI or it can be a mobile UI. So what is a web UI? Web UI is like whatever suppose this is your Chrome browser. This is your web-based UI, and same thing is present in mobile. In mobile, you also have a browser, correct? So if you want to make any application which will be open in a browser, that is nothing but your web development or web UI development. And for that thing, right now in the market, the best technology you should learn is ReactJS and also Angular. But ReactJS is more popular and more in demand, and it's more like from my like whatever I have worked, I would say ReactJS is much better in terms of like all the things, architecture wise and performance wise. It is very powerful, and it is like companies are also opting for React uh, quieter times right now. So this is very good. You can opt for these things, and what you need to learn in these things is primarily JavaScript, because these are JavaScript driven. Okay, so you must master JavaScript and HTML, and uh, so I will make a separate video, but this is you should do if you want to opt for this thing. And the advantage of learning front end is that it will take less time. Okay, I'll come to that. That obviously, if you want to become a front end developer, you have to only focus on the UI part. Forget about the REST API. There will be separate team, maybe a full stack team or a backend team, which will develop the REST API for you. You have to just use that thing and create the UI. So it becomes half the task. And UI is like there's not much scope in the UI to do very complex development in most of the like you can say projects. You know, most of the project the complexity is in the backend side. Okay, I'm not, there could be exceptions, but most of the projects have like the complex task and the major task is done on the backend side. On the front end side, the scope is less, and that's why it is relatively easier to work on the front end. So if let's suppose you are not a very good programmer or very good coder, and you face like I am facing very hard times in doing full stack development or learning full stack development, but still you want to be a software developer. Okay, you can definitely opt for this thing and just think of this thing, but you need here also you need coding skills. Without coding skills, because these are all development, so you need programming, but you don't have to master it. If you are also an average programmer, you can make a career in front end development. This is what I can suggest you. And same thing is true for mobile UI development. Here also you can focus on either of these things, Flutter or React Native. These two are very popular technologies right now in the market. And if you focus on these things, you can become a front end developer for the mobile. And this is also very good technology, is highly paid, and yeah, very good scope. So just think of this thing, and yeah. Now moving to backend. So backend, as I said, it is more about making the REST API or APIs. Okay, forget about the REST line right now because you might not be aware what is REST. Just think API. API is what? API is something like it gives us some data. Okay, we send a request, it gives us some response, something like that. Okay, but it will not give you what I can say. It will not give you the HTML page. It will give you data in form of XML or JSON, a different form which it can give you data. Now for that thing, there are a lot of popular frameworks. Okay, Node.js is one of them. Express.js using Node.js. Then using .NET, you can also have Web API project. Spring Boot in using Java is also one of the very hot technologies right now. It is very much in demand, and Python is also in demand. So in Python you can use the DRF, which is nothing but Django. Sorry, my spelling is Django. This thing REST framework. Okay, this is used for making the REST API in Django in Python. So these technologies are very good. This is based on Java, Spring Boot. This is based on like .NET. We can say C# language, and this is based on Node.js. Node.js is nothing but JavaScript. So these are some technologies which is better. What that I will cover in separate video. But if you want to become a backend developer, you can choose one of these. I will suggest if you are a fresher, then going with either Node.js will be a good option, because in Node.js, what is the advantage that you don't have to learn a new language. Okay, if you go to the front end, in front end in Angular and ReactJs, JavaScript is used, and same JavaScript is used in Node.js in the Express.js framework. So you don't have to learn a separate language. So that much of effort is gone. Okay, and there are a lot of lot of demand for this kind of profile where they need like JavaScript both in the front end as well as back end. So that is a good option. I can say for freshers it is a good option, and even for experienced people it is a good option. There are a lot of like startups and companies is opting this particular framework for many reasons. I will explain in a separate video what is the why this uh, full stack track in using JavaScript is in so much in demand. So I will make a separate video. But yeah, I am just giving a high level point which might be important to you. And similarly, Java is also very much in demand. Java is still we can say almost in the number one spot. As if you compare the number of jobs openings, it is still number one, and a lot of enterprise apps is still using Java. So Java is still there, and it will be there. So yeah, this is also very good technology, very highly paid, and .NET is also good. .NET is also like the new version .NET Core has come into the market, and this is also like changed the like picture. Earlier .NET used to run only on Windows machine, but right now this .NET framework can run on any platform, on Linux and anything, and that is known as .NET Core. So it has also given boost to .NET, and a lot of jobs are there in this thing. But yeah, I will again make a separate video comparing all the framework, what you should choose or not. But right now, focusing more on comparison between front end, back end, and then full stack. So I hope now by now it is much is clear to you that what is front end, what is back end, and what is full stack. So full stack is nothing but combination of both. Okay, React.js plus REST API. REST API can be any of this thing. Okay, any of this thing. Okay, so full stack is nothing but both combined. Now, what is happening right now in bigger companies that you have a separate team for front end and back end. Not every project, it depends on the projects, but most of the times what happens, you have a separate team. Like React.js is separate team, and your backend is a separate team, like Java, .NET, or Python, or whatever is there, or Node.js. It's a separate team. So many times, I can say you don't get a chance to work on both front end and back end at the same time in bigger companies most of the time. But in startups, full stack is very hot because full like startups want people with more knowledge, more skills. In that sense, that's like perspective, full stack is like very hot in startups. And if you want to learn full stack, then you have to learn both front end as well as back end. Okay, but this will be either of these three should be your path if you want to become a full stack developer. If you want to become front end developer, choose these two. Okay, and if you want to become only back end developer, then you can choose either of this thing. If you're not interested in front end, you're only interested in like writing good quality code and doing more stuff on the back end side, this is definitely a good option. And now I am going to compare the all the framework and what is the advantage, disadvantage, what is the salary, and all those things. Sorry. So first, let's start with the learning curve. Obviously, full stack is going to be the highest learning curve because you need to know multiple language. In the front end, you might need to know a different language. On the back end, you might need to know a different language. Okay, then you to know the integration. A lot of things will go into picture. So full stack is like having the highest learning curve. It takes time to learn for front end because the front end framework like Angular and React is not easy to learn. It takes time. So if you're going for full stack, remember the learning curve will be high, and you will need more skills, and your coding skills has to be very good if you want to become a full stack developer. That is like the thing. Now front end is having the lowest learning curve among these three because in front end you have to only focus on the front end, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That's it. No need to worry about databases. No need to worry about the cloud, or no need to worry about your what I can say, REST APIs and all those things. Okay, just focus on your front end, make a good front end based on the REST API which is provided to you, and that's it. So the learning curve is like much lower, almost I can say half than full stack. So that is the advantage of going for a front-end development, like front-end development. You can like learn in very less lesser amount of time. Now backend is like it is like a tricky thing. Backend is like uh, it is also, I can say, not as easy as front end, but it is much easier than full stack, because in full stack you have to learn both integration with both. It takes a lot of effort. So I will say backend is a little bit more challenging than front end, but almost, I can say, half as full stack. Not half, then almost I can say 60% of the effort which will it will take in full stack. That's the same thing will take in your backend. So this is the learning curve you should remember when you're, because you need to like whatever you choose, based on that you have to like devote the time. So that is also one of the very important thing. Now the job prospect, why I have written this point is very important. Like, when if you're a fresher, most of the roles which you will get in the market will be either full stack or front end. Again, I'm repeating this thing. If you're a fresher and you're looking for entry level jobs, either you should learn front end development or either you should learn full stack development. Don't learn back end development. You might get a job, but there's less chances, because as a front end developer, as a fresher, you're not much experience. The company will either hire you for front end or maybe full stack. Because if you're full stack, then you can do end to end work. Back end is like a more responsible job, and generally experience is preferred here. So I will suggest, if you're a fresher, then opt for these two. No, if you're a very good programmer and you are like done exceptional thing, then you might go for backend. But generally, I will not suggest you to go for backend development if you are a fresher. And you can verify this thing if you go on any job portal. Just search the backend jobs and front-end jobs and full stack jobs and see how many openings are there for freshers. That is where you can verify. So always I say verify the facts. Don't believe anybody, not me also, not anybody. Just verify on your things. You have to take the charge of your career. So this is very important. Now, salary wise, now this is a very important question which fresher also asked me. Somebody who is like working on some different technology, they want to like become full stack developer or a backend developer. They have also this question, like what is the salary comparison between front end or like between backend and full stack, and what they should choose. So I will say full stack is like the highest paid, and I can say backend is also at par with full stack. So suppose you are getting, somebody is getting a 20 lakhs package, okay, at let's suppose 7 to 8 year experience. So backend developer will also get similar package. Front end developer will get little bit less package, maybe 70% of that, or even less than that. Okay, because front end development will require less skills, but full stack is like complete end-to-end development. So obviously this is in the most highest demand, and backend development is like more complex. So that is why this is also in demand, and the company values this thing, so they will pay you like good. Okay, the salary is like higher on full stack also, it is higher on backend also. Sometimes it will depend, it may be lesser, but generally it is almost the same. Full stack and backend is almost the same, because even if it is backend, just think like that, major work is done on backend. So that is why the salary is almost the same. It will depend, salary will not just depend on if you are a backend developer or if you are a front end developer, if you are a full stack developer. For example, let's suppose I am a front end developer and I am working in a very good company which require very good skills in ReactJs. I might earn much more than a full stack developer in a service based company. So it also depends on the individual and skills also. So I'm not generalizing, but yeah, this is in general, this is the trend. Now, what is the future? Like, if you are thinking of the future, okay, what will be my future of 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? So, full stack is like evergreen. Like, it is like you can work on as a technical architect, you can become a solution architect, you can become like a project lead of some startup. You can do a lot of things if you have the entire knowledge how to make the entire application by yourself. Similar thing can be said for backend developers, because backend developer is always doing the major work. And if you take any application, or we can say for most of the application, the major work is done on the backend side. So backend profile and the full stack profile has a very good future. They can become technical architect of the entire project. okay, or depends. Sometimes you only become the technical architect of your team. Like Java is a separate team, front end is a separate team. So you might become technical architect or solution architect of your team. Depends. But backend developers, if they are more seniors, they can definitely lead the entire project. Also, it is quite possible and seen in the industry. Now, coming to front end developer, I don't think is very less likely that you will lead the entire project because you have only the front end knowledge. So most of the times you will have like involved in the UI itself, and future point of view it is good, but not as promising as full stack or backend. Okay, so it is good. It's not like it's not bad, but if you compare with full stack and backend, so starting years it will not be much difference, but the difference will be when you become go at a senior level. Let's suppose not even think of 10 years, think of 15 years, 20 years. That time you see the difference. Till 10 years, no problem. You can have a smooth ride. Okay, you might get good package like at par salary with full stack or backend, but the difference will be when you think of the longer term, like very long term. Okay, so it is not bad. I'm not saying it is bad. Just I'm comparing the overall picture. Okay, yeah. Now, long the same thing which I'm repeating. It is the same thing. Long. This is for long term. This is also for long term. I'm not sure what like a front end developer will work after 20 years. I'm not. I'm very honest. I don't know because I don't have that much experience myself. But I'm not sure. I know people who are having 20 year of experience. They can work as a solution architect. They can work as tech architect, or they can even become like project manager, or they can go for non-technical. The same thing can happen with UI developer, but it's hard to say what how they will progress after 15 years because frankly speaking and honestly speaking, front-end development does not have a lot of scope for learning. Okay, so suppose you want to have a very long career, you have to learn a lot of things every 1 year, 2 years, and upgrade yourself and find a better job, better salary. So if you have less scope, what thing you will learn? Suppose you are a front end developer, you already know ReactJs, already know CSS, you already know good programming. What is your next step? What you will learn? Whereas the backend development or a full stack development can learn a lot of things like they can learn DevOps, they can go for cloud, how to deploy using cloud. So these things have unlimited scope. Backend has unlimited scope, full stack has unlimited scope. Whereas when you're tied to front end, it has limited scope. So end this video. I don't want to take much time. It is already almost half an hour, but I have given just a high level overview. This which is not sufficient. I also agree, but I have given a high. I've tried to give a high level overview of these three technologies and what are the pros and cons. And if you're a fresher as well experience, what you should think. And I will not take much time. I'll stop here and. Going forward, I am going to make like more videos of uh, on this thing, the topics which we just discussed on different technologies, which we discussed in this video in detail. But for now, thanks and bye, everybody.